For today's art activity, we're going to start creating our water lily by tracing a circle onto a white piece of paper and then gluing different shades and tints of green tissue paper inside of our circle. This will create a smooth texture for the lily pad, the leaf that the flower sits on. This is the first step in the process for creating the 3 different pieces of paper that we will need for constructing our water lily flower. I'm going to take my time and glue the tissue paper side by side so no white spots are left showing inside of my circle. Make sure you cover the entire circle. It is okay if a few pieces stick out on the edge. Go back and check to make sure none of the pieces are sticking up. Check those corners and make sure they're glued down completely. Flip it over and rub on the back side of the paper to make sure it's stuck. Shake it a little bit to make sure nothing falls off and set it to the side. I am now going to work on my second piece of paper that we will need. I'm going to put a little bit of water on my brush to water down my blue tempera paint, and I'm going to paint side to side across my square piece of paper. This square piece of paper is going to be the background for our flower. This is going to be the water for the water lily to grow out of. Make sure you get all the way to those corners and don't miss any of the edges. Once you have covered your paper with watered down tempera paint, you are going to use some salt and sprinkle it around your paper. The salt will absorb the paint. When it's all dry, so you're not going to see it today, but when it's all dry, it will leave a little white polka dot pattern in your painting. This will create the texture for the water. Remember, we are learning about different types of texture. We did a smooth texture for the lily pad, and now we're going to create some bumpy polka dot pattern texture for the water. Once you are done, we are now moving on to the third and final piece of paper that we are going to paint. We are going to paint smooth lines across our orange piece of paper. This piece of paper is going to be used for creating the flower petals of the water lily. Take your time and paint the whole thing in carefully and neatly. I started with just yellow on my orange paper, and now I am going back in and I'm blending the magenta into the yellow. I want to leave some of the colors showing, so I don't want to blend it completely. I wanted to have a nice variety of colors in my paper, so I want to have some yellow highlights, some magenta highlights. I don't want it to all be one color, so when you are done painting it, if you lost some of those yellow highlights, go back with some more yellow paint and fill it in with more yellow paint. Now, this paper, if you need help holding it still, use a pencil and just touch it in one spot with that pencil and it'll hold it in place while you're painting it so it's not moving around on you. The lilies have a smooth texture on their petals, so we want to kind of create that smooth texture, but there is a little bit of color variation, so we are going to kind of blend the colors just a little bit so that way we see different types of colors. Once you are done, go ahead, put your art away, and we are all finished and you can stop and clean up.